You know that feeling when an RTS battle in space is going brilliantly, and then 2 minutes later it's absolute spaghetti in 0G. Now imagine being able to pause being the admiral for a second, jump straight into your squadron and personally intercept that one ship that's about to turn your whole evening into some sort of floating debris field. And this is precisely why Nullspace has my attention. It's up on Steam now, and honestly, it's exactly the sort of space project that I want to see. Alright, Tom here from LT Gaming, and today is a preview of Nullspace, what it's trying to do, what it looks like mechanically, and whether it feels genuinely fresh or not. We're going to be talking the core gameplay loop, so this duality of combat layer, fleet command and direct control, how the setting is leaning into this retro-futuristic big ideas sci-fi vibe, and whether or not it can repair the damage which is a Homeworld 3 shaped hole in my heart right now. We do see a few ambitious projects such as Falling Frontier on the horizon, but the list isn't exactly overflowing, so should this one get your attention? Welcome to the channel everyone, this is LT Gaming. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe if you like thoughtful previews and deep dives into strategy and gaming content. We feature pretty much anything here. Feel free to hit like if the video tickles your fancy, it really helps us get out there on the algorithm. And of course, feel free to also subscribe if anything I'm saying resonates with you. You're going to feel very much at home here. Now I gotta be honest with you, today's video is near and dear to my heart. I'm saying this as someone who really wanted Homeworld 3 to knock it out the park and have a triumphant return. But sadly that wasn't the case. It just didn't land for me and I think many others out there. And it stung a bit because I think this genre is quite special. The good news is I don't think it is dead. I think it's just waiting for the new generation of devs to seize the torch and do something special with it. So yeah, I am hopeful for the future of this space. Pun intended, of course. And I want to show you Nullspace today because I think it will resonate with many of you watching this video today. If you like what you see, go out there and wishlist it on Steam, give them some support. And alright, with that out of the way, let's dive into Nullspace. So what exactly is Nullspace in plain English? Well, it's chasing that very specific space RTS itch, the one that Homeworld used to scratch, where battles feel like this slow, terrifying ballet, except now it's trying to add this second layer on top. So you don't just command the fight, you can occasionally jump into the cockpit and personally fix the bit that is about to go wrong. And this is the hook here, because a lot of space RTS games ask you to be Admiral 100% of the time, which of course is fantastic, but there are also those moments where you are watching a key target escape or something collapse and you're thinking, I could handle this one myself. So it's leaning into this more story-driven structure, campaign energy in a retro-futuristic setting that feels to me like a little bit golden age sci-fi, but with modern spectacle. So less sterile, hard sci-fi UI, more chunky ships and big ideas. And in terms of scale, it is aiming high. We're talking proper swarms of ships, capital ships getting ripped apart, debris drifting through the aftermath, and it's the kind of visual feedback that makes space combat feel meaningful in the same way a game like Nebulous Fleet Command will make you obsess over angles and ranges. Except Nullspace looks like it wants the mess and the drama as well. So getting past the ooh shiny lasers in space vibe, what are you actually doing minute to minute in this game? Nullspace is built around that classic space RTS rhythm. Planting infrastructure, pulling resources out of the system, then building a little web of stations and outposts that turns we've arrived into we're actually here right now. And I do love that feeling because it's the same satisfaction you get in games like Sins of a Solar Empire, where you're not just a number on the UI screen, but you're a chain of very real places that you feel invested in. Now, they also mention that different planets will bring challenges and resource opportunities, and this is a big deal if they get it right. I just hope they're not biting off more than they can chew. But the difference between a good RTS economy and a boring one is when you have to make those choices and you're not just doing chores for the sake of it. If a planet can give you a juicy resource but it's awkward to hold, that's instantly more interesting to me than putting just another refinery on a shiny rock. It becomes a more strategic question. And then you've got this upgrade layer as well, which they've highlighted, and this is where it could get a bit spicy. Upgrades and specialized abilities unique to different ships. So in practice, this could create hopefully a fleet identity. Because when upgrades are meaningful in a game, it stops being I have 10 frigates and starts being I've built 10 frigates to do a very specific job, kind of like Space Empires did back in the day. Right, so let's talk combat, and before we get into the jump into the first person view thing, let's talk about what will make this game live or die, and it's whether it works as a proper fleet RTS first and foremost. Because at this kind of scale, the real battle isn't your DPS you have, it's going to be how well it plays, because you need to be able to, at a glance, understand the chaos and know where my line's breaking, what's exposed, and what absolutely do I have to kill next. So the macro layer has to do the heavy lifting here. Your fleet should win fights because you positioned well, you focused the right targets, and you rotated your damaged ships out. All that good Admiral Brain stuff. And then Nullspace is looking to add the twist, where you drop into this direct control of a squadron mid-fight. I'm going to handle it myself button. And this is where I get proper vibes of a game like Battlezone, if anyone remembers that classic. But the trick to getting this right is the balance. First and foremost, the fleet layer has to stay in charge. If you're only winning because you're personally flying around putting out the fires, I feel like the RTS bit will already be lost. Secondly, direct control has to feel surgical. Not like you're permanently stuck in the cockpit, but it should be the decisive moment you choose, then you zoom back out and take command again. Thirdly, there has to be an actual trade-off while you're doing it. So if you're piloting, you shouldn't be able to issue perfect commands everywhere else as well, because otherwise it's just free value and you're going to spam it. And lastly, and most importantly, the AI has to be competent enough to hold the line, or you're off busy being the hero, because nothing will kill this game faster than if it feels like you're just clocking in for a second job. If Nullspace can nail all of these components, you're going to get the best of both worlds. Fleet scale RTS drama plus those Battlezone style hero moments without the whole game turning into RTS, but when I jump in to personally babysit, it all falls apart. The other thing that intrigues me a lot with Nullspace is how physical the battles look. Capital ships don't just pop, they get torn apart and leave some proper remnants behind. And it instantly will make engagements feel heavier and more impactful. And it reminds me a bit of Nexus the Jupiter incident, that sense that ships are big, expensive commitments, not just disposable fireworks. Then there'll be the environmental side of things, using asteroids as cover, shattering them to create dust clouds that mess with enemy plans. I love the ambition here. This stuff is genuinely hard to pull off though, so it needs to feel fair, intuitive, and not like the game is randomly turning the lights off mid-fight. Alright, so it's not all just big ships go bang, but Nullspace is pitching a story-driven campaign as well, with hopefully that golden age sci-fi energy. Bold ideas, chunky tech, and a setting that actually wants to say something. The faction setup is nicely ideological, which is always a good sign, because it means conflict isn't just colours on a map. You can have the Junkers, these scrappy survivors and scavengers, the Hedgen, who are disciplined, militaristic, very order above all vibes, and then the Dominion, progress at any cost, explicitly transhumanist, the sort of faction that makes you think humanity's biggest problem is being human pretty much. It gives you very much the Expanse vibes, not in the exact story, but in the way that politics, survival and ideology collide once you spread across space and everyone's thinking about how we're the reasonable ones here. And sitting all behind this is their unique take on it, the Fermi paradox, that big unsettling question of where the hell is everyone else? Framed as a revelation that forces humanity to question its ambition and long-term survival. So if combat is going to be the spectacle, this is the hook that could give it some weight. Alright, I'm curious, are you guys looking for this Battlezone-esque jump in and do-it-yourself style of RTS? Or are you veering more towards keeping it proper command and control? I do think it's genuinely tricky to get a game like this right. If they nail the balance, it could be brilliant, but if they don't, it could be just this chaotic mess. Drop your take below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Is there an appetite for this sort of game in 2026? So yeah, to summarize, Nullspace is one I'm definitely going to keep an eye on. If you're into fleet scale RTS and you want an extra layer and a hook in there as well, I do think this genuinely looks promising, so wishlist it if it tickles your fancy. The scale, the physical destruction, the idea of using the battlefield itself, and then being able to drive in and be the deciding factor yourself, it's all pretty cool. Alright guys, that will do it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to do all the good stuff on the video if you like, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye now.